You guys, I'm editing this week's episode with Penelope, and gonna make this the introduction. It is incredibly powerful. I am in tears. It shares so much of my journey, and it shares a beautiful story with an incredibly beautiful, powerful woman, my dear friend Penelope. And if it's any way possible to watch this one on YouTube, please go watch it. This is probably going to be my inspiration to do the video on Spotify. But this is an amazing episode if you can watch it to see this beautiful soul, Penelope, and to know how real and raw this is and how uncomfortable this has been for me to share my real truth. But this episode was one that really turned the corner for me to overcome self-doubt and to not be afraid and to believe in myself, and everything just keeps getting better and better in my life. And I can just see it all. It's all so magical. This is such an episode. You do not want to miss it. As I continue to remind you guys how important community is, it is part of my healing journey, and I don't know what I would do without the beautiful community that I have found, where I'm able to learn and heal and be vulnerable and support and gain support and know that I'm always loved. And in this community that I'm in, I have this dear friend, Coach Penelope, who is also a coach, Penelope Koach, who is a coach, and she is in my community, and I wanted to bring her onto this show to share her story with you guys, because she's been on a healing journey herself. And as I always say, we always have the choice. We can choose love or we can choose fear. And Penelope has a true story of someone who chose love over fear, and it has affected her entire life. And she is here today to share her beautiful story. Welcome, Penelope.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you asking me to come on. I guess I could start with kind of like from the beginning, but I won't make that a very long story. I grew up in the 50s and 60s in a middle class neighborhood in Pennsylvania. And I had a pretty typical family up until about the age of 7. And at that time, my mom got sick. And not too long after that, or maybe even before that, I don't remember that part. My father also drank. I was the oldest of 4 kids and a female, and that put me in a position that I felt or was responsible for everyone around me. I literally remember times in my life when, looking at my mother, I used to think to myself, am I the mother or is she the mother? And I can't tell you how many times I asked myself that when I was a kid. Anyway, I went through school. I went to private parochial school, and at that time they didn't understand about learning disabilities, and I had learning disabilities. I went to a school where my father, if he paid the tuition, I got pushed on to the next grade. And I literally spent my years in school hiding behind the kid in front of me, so nobody would call on me. I fast forward to high school. I graduated from high school and I could not read. Anyway, so I figured at that time in my life that I was just born stupid. I didn't realize that, there was such a thing as learning disabilities. So I ended up getting married. And by the way, I married my father, put that in there. I ended up getting married, had 3 kids, and the youngest of my kids got tested for learning disabilities. And I remember the day so clearly when I was sitting in his staffing and they're talking about his symptoms of his learning disabilities. And I said to myself, they're talking about me. And I had a realization sitting there that I wasn't stupid. I just learned differently. I literally went out the next week and signed up for college, something that I always wanted to do. Well, consequently, when I went to college, I realized that I had to teach myself how to learn, which I did. I devised a method of taking colored pieces of paper and colored pencils and writing things on it like words, that what I would do is I would stare at it, and later in class, I'd be able to close my eyes and I could use my mind's eye to remember what it was I was supposed to remember when for whatever class I was in. And that was the beginning of my journey, basically, to make myself a better person. Because I realized from very young that I didn't fit in anywhere. So anyway, so what happened is I started on the journey of improving who I was. And I remember a time in my life when I literally was a self-help book junkie. I mean, after all, I taught myself how to read. Um, let's see what else. Okay, so I ended up going to college. I ended up with a degree in sign language interpreting, which is another story on itself.
Oh,
And through sign language interpreting, I graduated from college and I learned to be a ski instructor. I was a ski instructor for 17 years in a ski area in Colorado that for people that have disabilities, and I taught deaf children and deaf adults skiing for 17 years. And I've always been a person that, it's like, tell me I can't and I'll show you I can.
wow. Wow, what an amazing story, Penelope.
Yeah, I've always been interested in being a better version of myself. And, I spent a lot of time focusing on other people because I ultimately ended up being a single parent. But what happened is that when my children left home, well, actually, I'm going to back up a second. I didn't really learn very good life skills in the family I grew up in. So when I got to be a single parent, I was very full of rage and anger, and I didn't have any outlet for it. And that is what started my use of drugs, because I will inject in here that I am a recovering drug addict. And looking back on my situation, actually, I started using drugs when I got to be a single parent, and I got clean from those drugs when my last child left home. So basically, I was medicating
Wow,
myself.
wow.
So let's see.
So how did you make that change? How did you stop?
I stopped using drugs. Um, when I was about 45 years old, when I didn't have any kids at home, but basically the drugs weren't working anymore. And I was just like, I felt like a broken mirror inside. And I still didn't have any skills to deal with it. And I tried to commit suicide. And I happened to have a job at that time. When I came back to work, my supervisor said to me, you can either go through the employee assistance program here at your job, or you're going to lose your job. So I went through the employee assistance program, and through that, they introduced me to the 12-step programs. And I've been in recovery, like I said, for 35 years. And I learned a whole set of life skills there. So, okay, ended up with a job with the airlines. That's what the job was. And I was really fortunate to have that job because I got to travel all over the world more than once. I probably been to almost 80 countries. And so I've been very blessed in that area. But anyway, in 2011, I retired from that job, and I realized at that time that my life was really lacking because the job gave me something to be interested in, something to do, something that made me feel like I was getting something accomplished, and I really struggled in retirement. Anyway, so about 4 years ago, I ran into this gentleman on the internet that had a meditation community. And at the end of 2023, he interviewed Danny Morell on his podcast. And I was really intrigued what Danny Morell had to say. And before I knew it, about 3 months, 4 months later, I signed up with Awaken, and I've been a member ever since. It's been amazing the change it's made in my life. It's like my life has improved like 100%. I've gotten to see, um, I've gotten to have reflected back to me the person I really am, and it's like I really like what I see.
So beautiful. I really like what I see. What was it that you heard, or what helped you make that shift to see that, you just told us all these beautiful stories and experiences that you've gone through where you've triumphed, and you've been at what you thought was the worst, or what was your worst, or whatever, and you were able to make these pivots in your life and be able to change it and just go a completely different direction. It's like you've lived so many different lifetimes already. Like, I lost my train of thought. I got so excited in your story. Oh, what was it that made you see that it was finally time to see yourself and you like what you see? What was that?
Well, one of the I can point to like one incident. Last fall, I got an opportunity to do a plant medicine weekend in New Jersey with a bunch of other Awakened people, although it wasn't an Awakened event. And during one of the journeys, uh, I actually sort of like left my body and was looking down at the scene. And I was looking at the other people in the room looking at me, and I could see what they saw. And it was just like so freaking cool.
Wow.
It really was.
Oh, that's so amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it really was. And plus, Awakened people are my people. It's like, I mean, yeah, I have like lots of friends in my everyday life, but I can be 100% me when it comes to Awakened people. And I love that. It's just so
Yeah.
fun just to be me.
Right? It's like, how would you even describe the energy?
You mean with Awakened people?
Yeah.
Well, Danny always talks about how, you elevate your energy. That's what it is. It's an elevated energy that I don't have. Well, it's like, I'm not going to say I never have it in my everyday life. That's not true. But I don't have it as often. And I also don't have the opportunity to get to be my authentic self 100% in my everyday life like I do when I'm around Awakened people. Because, it's like they get me. I get them.
I feel it so much. And, I guess I didn't even I love how you just completely identified what I was feeling whenever we first got onto this call. And I felt a little bit nervous because I felt confident about this call all week, or since we set it up, because I was like, oh my God, this is going to be a great conversation. And but today, as soon as I sat down in front of the computer, I started to get really nervous. Like my heart has like been racing the whole time. And it's that excitement and the energy that just like looking at your beautiful smile and your just glowing face and your energy before we even hit the record button. That's Take a breath, Amanda. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. And I completely agree. And I really feel it just having this conversation. And, you know, I've interviewed a couple of people already that are part of the community, and I've got several other people that are going to be guests on the show that are also from the community because that energy really is fire, you know? So I love that so much. Um, oh my God, I just had a great idea. Oh my God, this energy. Okay, I just have
Well,
to write down a word.
if I can, I'd like to add something about that.
Yes, please.
One of the things that draws me to Awaken so much is that, you go through different phases in life. It's like, okay, I grew up, I went to school, I got married, I had kids, I was a single parent, that, I had a work life, and then I retired. And what has happened is in retirement, it's like it almost felt like I was sort of floundering around in life. I couldn't like get a direction. I didn't feel like I had a purpose. And you know what Awaken has gifted me? My purpose now is service. And my service has to do with the fact that I've lived a lot of life, have gained a lot of knowledge, have a lot of wisdom. And this point in my life, I get to share that. And that's what my service is about.
Wow, Penelope, that's so beautiful. That's so amazing that you in how long? Like a year and a half that you have found out and done all of this healing and now you're able to give back and see that purpose is so incredibly beautiful.
Mhm. Yeah, I know. And it's actually kind of fun too.
Right? Which one was your first one?
Which Awaken?
Uh-huh. When
Uh,
was it?
last June in Miami.
Okay. Wow. Okay. That's beautiful. That's whenever Sebastian and I joined the inner circle
Oh, okay.
in
All right.
Miami. It was my third Awaken. Yeah. Oh, so exciting. Wow. We're coming up on that's less than a year.
Yeah,
Less than a year. Oh my
my
gosh.
membership is up in 2 days.
Well, let's renew. Oh, wow. My
I
heart
have
is
been
so full.
I have been so blessed my life. I remember a time when I was a bitter, angry person and that I was resentful about my parents and I'm resentful about the life I had growing up. But I don't feel that way anymore because that all made me who I am today. And I like that person. And if it hadn't been for those situations that I went through and the baggage that I had for years, I wouldn't be the person I am today because it gave me stuff to work on. It's gave me
Wow.
presented to me a gift, and
Right.
yeah.
What a beautiful perspective of life. And to be able to see that, ah, that's so powerful.
And now I'm really grateful for that stuff.
Ah,
Ab-
my heart is racing. It's like about to burst out of my chest.
what, like this?
It's
Look,
like it's so
this?
filled with love, like your shirt. I wrote down earlier, I want to talk about your shirt. Okay, so tell me about your shirt,
Well,
please.
a mutual friend of ours, Jocelyn, gave me this shirt.
Uh-huh.
Made it for me. Well, I helped a little, but not much.
She
And
just
she gifted it to me.
she did. We'll
Yes.
stand up just a little bit so we can see the full shirt in the camera. Oh, it's beautiful. So the heart with the yin and yang, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
So beautiful. So what does that mean for you when you see this shirt?
Well, for me, it's a lot of different things, but it's the heart connection that I have with her. You know, like
Oh,
we became like instant friends when we were roommates in Palm Springs Awaken.
oh my gosh, I love it so much.
Yeah,
Oh, that's so beautiful.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, I just feel, I mean, I'm so blessed in my life. I really am. I've had so many experiences. I mean, even just the things I've gotten to do. Like I was a ski instructor. I was
Right?
a part-time freelance photographer. I mean, it's like I've been all over the world and I've had lots of experiences with that. I just been so blessed in my life. And, it's like,
And you're not stopping. And you also recently are painting, right?
yeah, right. Well, actually, my medium mostly is colored pencils, but yes,
Oh,
I
it's
do.
colored pencils. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Tell
don't
me
be.
about it. Tell me all about your art.
Well, I have been drawing all my life, and I wasn't until COVID that I took an art class. I never took an art class.
Really?
Yes. And I realized that I actually was pretty good at it. And I just, I actually started selling a little bit of my art in case you're interested in buying some.
Yes, yes. Tell us your website. We'll put it in the show notes, but go ahead and tell us now. What is the website?
I don't have a website per se,
Or
but my
or
art,
through your Instagram? Is that where people should reach out?
yeah,
Okay, and
a
you
lot
guys, oh
of
my
it,
God, here it
yeah,
is.
a lot of it's
Penelope, please tell the audience what is your Instagram handle?
well, interestingly enough, this came about during Palm Springs Awaken. It's Penelope __ knows, and not knows, but knows.
Okay, and if you are listening and not watching the video, stop what you're doing and watch the video. But if you're driving and you can't do that, she just pointed not your nose like you're on your face that you sniff with, but your nose as she pointed to her head, as if in your brain knows. If you're not watching the video because you're on podcast, Apple Podcast, you can go to Spotify or YouTube and watch this if you want to see Penelope's glowing face and her beautiful shirt that we're talking about. And now her pointing at her nose and head. Come on, you should be watching the video right now. Oh my God, this is my favorite episode, Penelope. I need a breath.
I want to thank you for inviting me. I feel humbled and grateful that I
Oh
got to,
my God.
I, I humbled and grateful that I
Have
can
you?
a bit of my story and somebody else maybe will be inspired or think that, oh yeah, if she can do it, I can do it.
You are exactly right. And Penelope did it. I'm doing it. I can't believe I say that. Okay. So here's the thing, Penelope, I just realized I'm going to stop saying I can't believe I'm whatever because I should believe I'm whatever. Because I do believe it. Because when you say you can't believe it, it means that you're doubting. And I no longer doubt myself, Penelope. I'm proclaiming this on the podcast. It has been such an experience starting this show. Let me just tell you, because my heart is racing so much right now. Um, yeah, Sebastian, my husband would say, "What's the key, Amanda? The key is to breathe." So if you're listening, this is it. When you get in this excited, tense moment, just take a breath.
Exactly. But it's been an absolute pleasure.
It has been such an amazing experience to start this show and to be able to put myself out there and to get over that self-doubt. And I just I can't believe how much it's changed me. And I am so excited to start helping other people and to start coaching others. And Penelope, we just had a recent conversation that you are looking to start coaching other people as well, right?
Yeah, well, I have the right last name.
That's it. So if you guys know, Penelope knows. Oh my God. So back, we need to go back to the conversation of your art, but let me get on this one. Okay. So Penelope Kows is her Instagram handle. The audience is waiting with bated breath. I completely missed. We were talking about how cute you are, pointing your nose and your head, and why aren't you watching the video? So I got distracted with myself. Anyway, so Penelope Knows is her Instagram handle, and that's where people can look at your art. So back to your art. So your art you've been doing, tell us about the art.
Well, um, I just like, I don't really have like a particular sort of thing that I like to draw. It's whatever I'm inspired to draw is what I draw. You know, like right now I've been doing kind of like a clip art type stuff for the last few weeks just because that's what I felt like drawing. But and I do, and sometimes I take art classes, and sometimes I don't. Sometimes the art classes kind of get to be like I feel like I'm doing somebody else's art instead of my own. So I take a break. But then then when I start feeling stale, I go back to art class again. You know, so
Nice. Well, what is it that, what do you do to get inspired to, I'm gonna paint whatever it is you decide to, or I keep saying paint. Oh my God.
it doesn't matter. I paint too, but I mostly do color pencil.
I think it's like my typical craft is gonna be painting, but I don't have any colored pencils, but that's why I want to ask these questions. Like, how do you like approach your art? Do you have music on? Is it a certain scene that, how would you set the scene whenever you're getting ready to start your art?
Well, first of all, I'm a very visual person. So I like to take lots of pictures. And things that I see that are attracted to me visually, it's kind of like eye candy, and it gives me inspiration to something I want to draw. Um, as far as the process of what I do when I'm actually drawing, I almost always listen to an audiobook, a podcast, uh, something that's in my ear. So if it's talking in my ear, I'm not in my head. I'm listening to the book
Right.
instead of in my head with my art, and I just let my
Oh,
art.
I do that. I do that too. So what's the recent audiobook that you've been listening to?
Mm. Oh, you're gonna laugh. I'm listening to Joe Dispenza's Supernatural.
Becoming Supernatural?
Yes, I
Yes.
finished with it.
Yeah. That's been on my list. I need to get back to it. I listened to his other one. I can't remember. I think it was, I can't remember, but I listened to one of the other ones. But I do want to listen to that one because Jocelyn's always talking about it and she's always referencing it, right?
Mhm,
She's
mhm.
always referencing it in the magic circle,
Well,
circle of magic.
the thing with me is that I get bored with same all the time. And that's why, it's like, what am I reading? Well, it depends on what day of the week it is because I read such a varied, I mean, so many different genres that it's like, you
Really? Okay. Tell me the genres. I want to know.
okay, I love like CIA, shoot 'em up, the spy kind of book.
Okay.
That's Vince Flynn, David Balducci, that type of a book.
Okay.
Of course, I love my self-help books.
Okay.
It's I've always read them. I've always read a ton of them. And let's see. I'm
Found
into
that I have to read fiction, but listen to nonfiction. I don't
really?
know. I have a hard time focusing on reading nonfiction. I don't know. Anyway, okay. So what's the other one? Other genre?
Um, I love historical fiction. I love history.
Okay.
I'm a real science nerd.
Oh my God, you do it all. See,
I,
you've got like
I
all these souls in one.
I just got finished reading a couple books about the neuroplasticity of the brain.
Oh, I love it.
I love that kind of stuff. Of course, I like the value factor. I'm sure you know which one that one is.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
see. Oh, I read this book called Into the Magic Shop by James Doty. He was on one of
Saw that somewhere.
no, he was I think he was on with I think he was on with Danny. I'm not really sure. I don't remember.
Into
Uh
the magic shop. Is that
yeah.
what you said?
Into the Magic Shop.
Is it fiction?
No, it's about the
Okay, I was like,
he's a neurosurgeon.
oh, that's the neuroplasticity one. I thought you were to another genre already.
Let's see what else. The Untethered Soul,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
Money to Burn, geez,
Wow.
da, 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 da. Uh, of course, I can't think of them at the moment. But
That's a
anything
lot already. Wow. Okay, so neuroplasticity. Tell me something that just the first thing that jumps out that you learned from that book that you're like, oh my God, I did not know that.
that you can actually influence the neuroplasticity of your mind by doing things like meditation and breath work.
Wow, really?
Mhm.
Okay, so explain it to the audience, please.
Always so that I can explain it. Um,
I
well, for
mean, in real person, communication. How do you understand it?
Well, just like I was saying, I was reading the Joe Costenda book, and he was talking about how there's a certain kind of breath work and meditation that you can do that affects the pineal gland that's in the back of your head, and that the pineal gland is part of what manufactures melatonin. And melatonin is I want to say drug, but it's not a drug, a chemical.
Yeah.
Affects your mood. It affects kind of like it's like gives you an opportunity to leave this world
Right?
in a different plane. And that really has piqued my interest. I'm just definitely going to look into that, to see what
Yeah.
breath work and what kind of meditation that it takes to do that. Because I'm really interested in that stuff.
Right? Yeah, I love it. I don't think I'd ever heard of breath work until I was at Awaken.
I didn't either.
And
No,
then now,
but it didn't
huh?
mean anything to me.
Really? Yeah, I don't think I had. And so two things. One is I really like breath work also for cases where I'm having a difficult time just meditating and shutting down the thoughts because it's really difficult to do that sometimes. So it's like the focused on the breathing really pushes me to be able to focus and do the meditation. So that's a side story. But I don't think I'd ever heard of breath work until Awaken with Danny. And then now like it's like popped up everywhere. This girl that I used to work with, Cielo Stein, she opened up her own company, her own breathwork studio in Kentucky, I think, in Louisville or somewhere. And then I interviewed Harsha from the community,
I
and
saw.
she has a breathwork community. So again, if anybody's looking for communities, they're out there. I keep talking about it. They're out there. Check out Harsha's. It's Empowerment Harsha or something. Check out previous episode and see her links. But then also I had Chris August on an episode. That episode's going to come out just in a couple of weeks. He is the co-founder of Beats and Breath, who is amazing. It's a really cool app. You tried it?
Uh-uh. What's the
Well,
name of
did you do the first uh cannabis journey with Danny?
it? Yes. Yes.
So it was him that was in there doing the Beats and Breath thing.
Right. I knew I
Yeah.
heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. So this app is amazing. It has all of these different meditations and it has breath work and meditation combos. And like the music is so powerful. It's like it changes with the breath, you know, it's so cool. You can select different focus. You can select like work on one that works with different chakras, works with different um astrology signs. Like it's so cool. It's so amazing. There's so many amazing things. You should totally check it out. It's called Beats and Breath.
Deep in breath. Okay, I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, there's like the Chris August does a lot of them, and then there's another woman on there too. And there's a lot of like femininity, if you're looking for money, if you're looking for focus, or whatever whatever you're trying to go with, there's like a specific breath work or meditation for it. It's super awesome.
Yeah, that's great. I'm definitely gonna have to look that up.
Yeah. And he also has a book about breath work. And I realize I still have a lot of work to do on my breath. I don't take a slow enough exhale or breathe out enough. I completely realize it. So I'm still working on my breath. Do you do breath work like at home?
Any, yeah, I do. Um, I think anybody that is into a journey like we are on, I don't think you're ever satisfied with where you're at ever. And I think that's the beauty of being on the journey. You know,
Oh, absolutely.
that's
Absolutely.
like, I mean, look, it's at my age and I'm still doing this, and I can't imagine me ever not doing it. And I used to always laugh, and because I used to half laugh about, and I used to refer to myself as a seeker. And I think everybody that's on this journey, these journeys that we're on, we're all seekers, and seekers, it's kind of like, it's almost like addicting. And,
It is, right?
I already have an addictive personality, so I fit right in. you
It's
know?
the best drug there is. It's the love drug.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the love drug. Oh my gosh, that's so fun. Speaking of not drugs, but actually plants, which are natural, how has plant medicine been part of your journey?
Well, the interesting part about that is being a recovering drug addict. I started hearing about plant medicine at my first Awaken, and I really felt on a certain level that it was something that I wanted to do, yet it's still drugs. And what I decided to do, literally at my first Awaken, was I was just going to do what I do with anything else. Is I started collecting information, knowledge. And,
Seeker.
and I just started, yeah, exactly. And I just started talking to people about it, and being right up front about being a recovering drug addict and how does that play into plant medicine. And I still remember having a conversation with Tim, and Tim said to me, "It's all about intentions." And I went, "Mm-hmm. That's right. It's all about intentions." Because when I was using drugs as a drug addict, my whole intention was to escape life. And in plant medicine ceremony, my whole intention is to expand life. So, I,
Yeah, drop the mic. Oh my God, Penelope, please repeat that.
okay, as a drug addict, I was running from life. I didn't want to experience life because I mean, I didn't like my life. But in plant medicine now, in plant medicine ceremony, it's about expanding my life. It's not about running away from it. I want to experience it. So, and don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna, I'm not a person that is, I'm gonna do plant medicine ceremony every other weekend. It's not that. Whenever I'm called to it, I'll do it. But
Right.
yeah, exactly.
I love it. I love it so much. And for me, I love that you said that because I think that there's a lot of people out there who don't understand what the difference is in plant medicine, and specifically, which ones are you talking about whenever you say plant medicines, Penelope?
Well, um, I'll have to admit to you that the weekend that I did a few months back with Daniel, we did like, I think it was 4 different things, and I honestly cannot tell you the names of them, of all of them. One of them was mushrooms. I remember that one for sure. But we did ketamine, and the one that would
Okay.
burn the gates on your arm and put the
I
medicine
think
on.
that's combo.
Yeah, thank you. And then there was another one that it was some kind of tobacco one.
Oh yeah, that they blow up. I think
Yeah,
it's, yeah,
yes.
I can't
And
remember
over
what it's
the
called.
weekend, the only one that I really got anything out of was the ketamine one. Even the mushrooms, it was okay. I mean, it was fine. I had an experience, but it wasn't like the ketamine one. And I've learned something about the cannabis ceremonies, that I've been to 2 of them now, with the Awaken community. And I got the message loud and clear last Sunday that this is not my plant medicine. And I think the reason that has come through for me is that when I was using uh, cannabis was my drug of choice. And I know people say, oh, it's not addicting. Well, physiologically, it's not, but psychologically, it is. And it just brings me back to too many things that I don't really want to revisit. So I decided after the last cannabis ceremony that I wasn't going to do another one. But I'm definitely open to others. I'm definitely open to other plant medicines. And I do want to do Aya at some point.
Wow. So back to what you said that before when you had the drug problem, right? That you're a drug addict, it was with cannabis.
Yes, but that wasn't my only drug of choice. I mean, I did other drugs too.
Okay. But at that time, the clarification was that you were doing those other drugs, that or whatever, as an escape and
Hmm.
like a numbing, maybe an
Oh,
escape of your life, right? But where now, where the experience like you had with the ketamine and you've tried with the others, right, is more of an expansion.
absolutely.
Okay.
As if it wasn't, I wouldn't be doing it because I am not into escaping from my life now.
I agree. And the thing I've been thinking about is for me, um, I was thinking about the difference in the word drug, right? And to me, cannabis, psilocybin, the the other things, those are plants, right?
Mhm.
And I don't think that those should be considered drugs, but I think people don't think about alcohol being the drug that it is and the effect that it has on people. It's literally anything that is created by a human. Those things are drugs. These natural things are plants. So it's so strange that, again, that cannabis would be whatever, its own thing. That's a whole nother episode. I am actually going to invite that guy to be on.
Yeah,
So
I'd
I
be glad
think,
to come back on and talk to you about it.
right? So my thing is, I love that you said that though, that you there's so many things, Melvin, that you were open to expansion and to try it, but during your experience, you realized and you listened to yourself and said, I tried it and that was not for me, but you know that there's other opportunities, other things. And I firmly believe that too. And I think that everybody kind of in that experience is going to find one that works best for them.
Yeah, and
I've,
I think a lot of that has to do with my history with that drug.
yeah,
I really do.
yeah.
So yeah.
Well, it is my preferred. And it's so interesting, and I really appreciate that your story today because I've experienced cannabis completely different since I changed my perception of it, and even not calling it weed. I feel like it's such a like dirty word. I don't like it. And I had Leslie Brown from also from the community, right? Because she has Haven Farms and her son has Haven Herb.
Yeah, I saw that. That was a really good episode.
Oh, that was right with the business coaching.
I really liked her.
That was so helpful. It's just amazing all of the really cool things that are in the program and the coaching thing. Um, yeah, I love it. So anyway, so she really helped me change my perspective on it completely whenever I met her. Well, I met her in Miami on the boat whenever we joined Inner Circle, but then we connected at the financial intensive, and she told me that about cannabis. And for me, I had previously used cannabis as an escape. I never even tried it until like 5 years ago, but for through COVID. And then a little bit after, I was using it more as an escape. And then it became more of like a balance kind of thing for me trying to keep myself kind of not anxious, maybe. And
Okay.
then as I've evolved in my own like healing journey, now it's become an expansion because now I'm using it with honor and respect and intention.
Hmm.
Exactly like you were saying, right? How important that we've learned from Danny and Daniel and the whole crew of how important intention is. And even with breath work, literally with anything that you do in life, even if you're going to the gym, like eating your food and actually taking intention on, wow, all the things that went into bringing this beautiful meal together, the people behind it, Mother Earth. I do that whenever I have cannabis. I talk to her. I have a relationship. It's like I I'm able to really have my expansion and be back to my heart. Right here I am, like having these conversations. I feel like this conversation right now has just opened this up for me to have just a real conversation and not have this rigid whatever that I think I'm supposed to have. Wow, this is so cool. All the things I'm learning and growing with this podcast. I mean, I just cannot believe it. It's so fun.
You know what, Amanda? I'm happy to be of service.
It's so beautiful.
Yep.
Wow.
To me, that's the whole point right now of my life.
I love it. Well, you just told me recently that you decided that you wanted to become a coach. What was it that made you have that shift from, oh my God, that feels scary to this is actually what I want to do?
It's just another version of service. I have all this knowledge, all this experience, all these, all the wisdom that I've gathered. And I'm so blessed to be able to be 80 years old and have gathered all that stuff. And what a waste if I don't share it.
I agree. I agree.
So
I'm in the
that's,
same boat.
yeah.
I'm in the same boat. I mean, I can't believe all the crazy things. I say crazy, like it's all shaped me to be exactly who I am.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know, I'll do the highlights on mine too. So my story, I grew up in a cult.
Did you really?
I
Oh,
really did.
how cool.
Right. Funny that I could like look at it and laugh about it now. Small town, did all of that. There was a shooting in my school, my high school, when I was a freshman in high school, like before like the Columbine and all the big Kentucky things. Ours was like the first one. Dude ran right past me. All that drama. I mean, like, this is a small town where people drove tractors to work. I mean, to school. There was a tractor day where people drove their tractor to school and had their guns in the truck, in the back of the truck all the time. So a guy coming into school with a gun, not really that strange until he started shooting people. Anyway, didn't mean to derail from that. So I've got that in my crazy story. I'm on my third marriage.
Yeah, I've been there 3 times too.
Right? And it's like, I never would have thought that I would be like, I'm going to give this a go again. And I found the love of my life.
It's
And
great.
I can't imagine like not having taken that like trust in myself. That was one of the first real times that I started to listen to me and thought, I don't care what anybody else thinks. I feel this. I feel it deep inside. It was like me listening to myself. It's really beautiful. He
Yeah.
has been such a magical dream to learn from and to grow together. And he's been through all of this with me too. He went with me to the first Awaken, and we've been through this journey together. It's been really impactful for us. It was like we started our relationship in January of 2023, and we went to our first Awaken in November of 2023. So it was like we were just still getting to know each other, but we knew each other so well. It was like that just, it sounds crazy. It's just so magical that we met and then we got married in 4 months. And it was one of those things where I knew that people would think, oh my God, Amanda, you're crazy. And I just didn't care. And it was like, oh, you're marrying this man you just met 4 months ago, and this is your third one. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, fuck it. I don't care. I feel it. I know it. I know it is right. And it has been the best decision I've ever made in my life. And it was like, since then, I know I can trust myself. And all the decisions I've made, there's never been a wrong one. Every decision has been exactly the right one. Just like you said, like every piece fits together to get you exactly where you are and to be able to look at your life and be like, I get to live this life. I look at me and I love what I see.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. I think if I could say one thing that I wish for myself before I leave this earth, I would really like to feel what it feels like to be loved like you are being loved. Mhm.
Hi, Sebastian.
I don't want Sebastian, but I want that kind of love.
Oh, so that's what you're saying. Oh my God. It is magical. And
Yeah.
I wish that I want that for everyone too. It is truly amazing. And I don't know how the timing ever works out. I think everything happens in its own space. Um, but I think people just, when you put yourself in a space to be to open to the magic, right? Of who knows, right? And just believing that I can love myself, and see yourself like you're saying. Um, I think we maybe we got lucky that we met each other at the time we did and get to learn and do all this together. But I really believe that once you do have that feeling of loving yourself like you do now, Penelope, I'm telling you, I really think it makes you a magnet for exactly that. And you stay in that energy and that smile and that like space. I think it's there for everyone.
Yep.
It's just, it's believing it and having that love for yourself is the first place to start, because it's like with whatever it is that someone loves to see in others. And I so appreciate that so much. Oh my gosh, let me take that moment. It is a truly magical thing. I'm so thankful for this experience I get to have and that love that I get from him. Um, and I feel like it is a reflection of how I love myself now.
What?
And they say that we're mirrors. So it's like if you're loving yourself in that way now, then that other person that's going to love you that same way is there. It's just I don't it's there. It's
Yeah.
whenever it gets there, I don't know, but it's there.
Yeah, well, it's like I work on that loving myself piece every single day because sometimes I think I'm just as human as anybody. Sometimes I have a hard time with that,
Oh my
but
God, me too. And it's I think now that I'm aware of it, sometimes it's obviously better now that I'm aware of it, but I'm more hard on myself then because once I realize that I'm being hard on myself, then I'm more hard on myself because I know I shouldn't be hard on myself.
yeah, well, I think
You know?
the antidote for that is living with intention. I think
Yes.
that's the antidote to that.
Expand on that.
Well, if you're more aware, which means living with intention, you're aware when you slip into that mode.
That's so true. That's so true. And it's like you know that there's another way. And you
Mhm.
know that you have the power is within you. You know that you have a choice. So it's like, I know I have a choice to not feel like this. So why am I feeling like this? But the question of the why am I feeling like this is exactly what gets you out of it.
Mm. And it's funny because there's one thing that I always talk about in the rooms is that how I can always tell when I'm not living my life to my highest self, when I can feel like the little teeth gnawing at me inside. And that's one of the things that recovery gave me is I grew a conscience.
Okay.
And sometimes I don't like it, but mostly it's a good thing.
Wow. Well, so Penelope, what is something that um I guess has been a biggest part of the change that you would help somebody with if they were going to start on their healing journey and they were looking for a coach like you? I mean, what would they find from Penelope Knows besides all of your obvious and beautiful experience you already said?
Well, that's really it in a nutshell. I,
That's it.
we have a
What
saying
else
in the
is there?
you share your experience, strength, and hope, and that's a 12-step saying. But that's
Jeez.
basically what it amounts to. It's like it's like there's power in being able to share the experience that you already lived, that somebody is maybe looking at living, or some
Yeah.
experience that they're stuck
Yeah.
in that you've already
Yeah.
worked yourself through. That's very powerful.
Right. Oh my God, I didn't even get through all my other big life experiences too. Um, so in my second marriage, I I went through IVF and had a miscarriage and did all that stuff so alone. Like people just don't talk about that stuff. It was like this weird taboo and this shame to have these conversations. People are already asking the uncomfortable question of like, when are you gonna have a baby? When are you gonna have a baby? And I just saw something that David Guillaume, I can't remember how to say his last name right. I need to look it up. Was telling people like that's a form of evil eye. You should not be asking people questions like that about when are you going to have a baby, and that it's a whole thing. It's anyway. So
No,
I went through all that trauma with the IVF and losing the baby. Phew.
that to go back to what you said about a form of evil eye, it's only a form of evil eye if you give a person a power for it to be.
And you're exactly right. That's so true. Oh my God, Penelope. That's so true.
You know, it's like most of the time, I'd say the majority of the time, I don't give my power away to stuff like that. You know, it's like
Yeah.
you can think whatever you want to think, but I'm who I am, like it or not.
Yeah. That's so true. Then I went through a drug addiction too.
You did?
I did. I I I I wouldn't even think that I would have described it as that until like just more recently because I think I didn't want to say it, out
It's called,
loud. Huh?
it's called denial.
I know, right? And I haven't like, said it out loud very much because it feels so incredibly uncomfortable,
Why?
because it feels so,
That makes you less than perfect?
yeah, it just feels like so like ridiculous is the only word I can think of. Like, Amanda, you know better than that. Like, and this is where that negative talk would be of like, how could you were doing what? You know what I mean? Like, it just makes no sense. Like the on paper Amanda of who everybody sees Amanda, who everybody thinks Amanda is. And then, you know,
But isn't that another form of giving your power away to other people? Power
yeah,
in you.
you're right. But
Yeah,
I was
you're
doing it.
you're perfect in your imperfections, just like all of us are.
And it is perfect because I believe it's what saved me.
Because there was a long time when I didn't admit out loud or talk about the fact that I was a recovering drug addict. Not anymore, man. I'm loud and proud about it.
Everybody is a mirror, and this is why we're having this conversation right now.
Yeah, really.
I mean, Penelope, I actually just told Jocelyn this recently, and she was like, "What?" No, like I was in this relationship and in this community, hanging around with these people all the time that number one were addicted to alcohol. I wasn't addicted to alcohol, but I was using it all the time. But the only way that you can continue to function with that much alcohol is to have something to counteract it. And they were all doing cocaine all the time. And all of a sudden, I'm doing it 2 or 3 times a week. And that's normal.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
well,
and
that's
I
that.
didn't I didn't think there was a problem until after I stopped, which was thank God those drugs got so bad that I got out of that relationship and there were extra steps in there. And then I got into one where he said, I don't want to be around that. And then I realized, what the fuck am I doing? And then I eventually separated myself from that entire group of people that all of a sudden that was a normal thing. And like, well, you just don't know all the people that are doing it. I'm like, really? And then I realized afterwards that how often I would think about it. And I
Of
told the people that I would get it from, I said, if I ever ask you for this again, please don't give it to me.
you know why that happens that you said is how often you were thinking about it because when you do something like that, it gets to be like muscle memory, and
Right?
muscle memory is just something that you don't think about, that it just kind of
And
like happens automatically. Well, that happens when you have a drug addiction too. It's kind of like you don't think about that you could live any other way. Because I know I was like that for a long time.
And like you said, it was an escape. It was like those moments when I was having, like, you have those, I'm not talking to myself very well, and I get in that, the snowball starts. And it was like, what's gonna pop me back up real quick and get me out of this? That'll do it.
Of course.
I'm
Because
getting a little tired and I need to wake up.
you,
That'll do it.
Because you know what? I'm still an addict. I still find myself wanting to use food to medicate myself. I'm a lot better at that than I used to be. But yeah, I mean, it's like I'll always be an addict. I know somebody asked me just recently if being an Awaken is now I don't have to be an addict anymore. And I'm like, no, I'll always be an addict, whether I'm an Awaken or not.
We can be learning addicts.
Yeah,
Love addictions. No,
exactly.
but you're so right. I'm so glad you said that, Penelope, because this is what I think since I only discovered cannabis, like I said, about 5 years ago, and after I guess probably not saying it out loud and realizing exactly what you said, that I was an addict of Coke and now not really drink that much alcohol at all. But anyway, so that maybe there's this part of me that's been scared that I was going to be that way with the cannabis. And I was using it more, like I said in the beginning of me using it in the last 5 years, for like the first three, probably was more of an escape and numbing, or just for relaxing or whatever. But again, now, since that conversation with Leslie from the community and my perspective of it, now it is with intention. And even like right before we got on this call, I keep looking over here because this is my it's like a water in here, it's silicone.
The
We call
ball.
this Mama Sia. So yeah, anyway. So I was really like nervous about just being in the car for the last 3 hours, then refocusing, getting back into the space of this, like I said. And I was like, I have with intention, I had one tiny little bit, and I'm just like, Mama Sia, show me what I need to share today. Show me what I need to share today and get me back into this space. And here we are. And I've been more me, and this has been more a real conversation. And I feel like we've covered so many amazing things today, Penelope. I'm so excited. This has been my favorite episode. Now I sound like all the other podcast like hosts. Every time they're like, this is my favorite episode. This is my favorite episode. This is my favorite episode, Penelope.
It's funny, Amanda, because at my very first Awaken, I got up and shared about how what I wanted in my life was to be heard and seen. Guess what?
Bravo, bravo.
Oh, yeah. After Palm Springs, I did 30 videos in 30 days on my Instagram.
Wow, that's amazing.
Somebody challenged me to do it. And I was like, sure, okay.
It's really powerful. I love that you do that. I've been challenging myself to put something on Instagram on my story every day, and obviously trying to get more stuff out there with reels. To get more people interested in hearing all the things that I'm saying here and to be involved, because healing together is so beautiful. I just love it. And it's been really scary, and I go overcoming those self-doubts is getting better and better, right? As I go along, because the more you do it, you just put yourself out there and just believe in yourself. And when you know that you're speaking your truth, it's like it felt so scary before, but now it's so exciting and so liberating and so freeing, right?
Mhm. I know. I can see the improvement because I watched all of your podcasts, and I can see the improvement from the first one.
Oh my God, I love it. Thank you so much, Penelope. That means so much.
I said to you, it's like, how are you going to approach this? I mean, just ask me a question and I won't stop talking.
Oh my God, this has been amazing. This has been so incredibly powerful. Thank you so much. I want
Oh,
to wrap this episode up, but I definitely want to have you back on to the show because I'm going to be taking this certification for the coaching. And have you decided, are you going to take the certification, the coaching thing with me? The words, come on.
I haven't had my interview yet.
Okay, well, let me know. Have you had it? Is it scheduled?
Well, I scheduled it and then something came up and I had to cancel it and I haven't gotten back to rescheduling it, but I am
Okay.
going.
No worries. Okay. Well, let me know. Keep me updated on that, but we will schedule another podcast episode. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode. Has been absolutely mind blowing, full of goodies. Follow Penelope Kows on Instagram for more love and light from this beautiful, beautiful soul today that has joined us on Back to the Heart. That was such a powerful episode. It's too powerful to even put bullet points together. I don't even know if I can create a reel for that one. There was just so much included. Just go back and hit that one on repeat. Watch it again. Share it with your friend. Oh my gosh, that is incredibly powerful. I love it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I love you. I love me. It's safe to be yourself. It feels so fucking amazing. It feels so free.